Hi, this is the 2020-2021 Student Senate, and here's our year in review.
Hi, I'm Mayank, and I'm a student senator.
Hi, my name is Kashaf Awan, and I'm a student senator and a working group co-chair this year.
Hi, I'm Yassine Khan, and I'm a student senator.
Hi, I'm Habiba, and I am a student senator.
Hi, I'm Kawan, and I'm a student.
Hi.
This year, the Wellbeing Working Group has come together to provide helplines and tips to students to improve their overall well-being. Whether this means the importance of drinking water, the importance of sleep, and much more things that pertain towards student health.
The Student Voice Working Group has been working on initiatives to amplify the success and struggles of our students. We have developed a document of resources for our senators to return to their respective schools and increase accessibility. We have also included questions within the DDSB Thought Exchange to gauge the relationship between students in their understanding of Student Senate.
Hi everyone, my name is Ishana Papatia and my name is Rihanna Papatia, and we are part of the Equity Working Group. Our main goal is to create an equitable learning environment for all students by ensuring they have the proper support resources with the goal of making everyone successful, especially during these unprecedented times. We have faced some challenges, however, we were still able to come up with initiatives to fulfill our end goal. To begin, we created posters that highlight commonly used vocabulary that can be misinterpreted. We feature the definition, significance, and history of each word to help educate students on the appropriate words to use in order to ensure that everyone is treated with respect. We also supported Austin Waco's Volume Over Voice project. In addition, we were able to discuss the current challenges of online learning that were expressed to us by students across the DDSB, and we were then able to bring this information back to the board. By bringing it back to the board, we can discuss and deliberate potential solutions and improvements to make the online learning experience more enjoyable to all students. A video has also been made available for families to learn more about different initiatives that the Student Senate have put in place to ultimately create an equitable school environment for all students.
In Senate, we also break into our regions, East, West, and North. Here, we work on building inter-school relations through collaborative initiatives and focus on region-based advocacy projects. We're featuring some of our school's highlights.
Hi there, my name is Michaela Marshall, and I'm the project coordinator for the Elementary Leadership Conference. When I was first elected for the position, there were so many ideas as to the direction we could take the conference. We've never run an event quite like this before on Senate, so it was a lot of fun coming up with the ideas and plans, so we had a completely blank slate to work with. We ran 2 conferences this year, one in February and one in May. Both were meant to focus on student voice and leadership, and what that means to students themselves. We had interactive activities, in-depth discussions, and we were fortunate to have some amazing guest speakers come in and share their knowledge and provide some inspiration. There was also an amazing team of hardworking senators and advisors helping out with the conference, and none of it would be possible without them. I thoroughly enjoyed organizing and running this event, and I'd like to thank everyone who dedicated their time and effort to it. I'd also like to thank everyone who attended as well. Thank you!
Hello, my name is Habiba Shafi, and I am the project coordinator for the Student Senate Social Studies lesson plan. As grade 5 and 6 students start to learn about levels of government, we introduce this lesson to teach them about Student Senate, its structure, its roles, and the way student voice is empowered at DDSB. The goal of this is not only to inspire students to become involved in student leadership, but also to give them the confidence to voice their opinions, ideas, and concerns, enhancing their educational experiences.
Hey guys, I'm Ananya Mehta, the Open House Project Coordinator for the DDSB Student Senate. And this year, I've gotten the opportunity to plan and facilitate an evening for parents, students, staff, and community members to come and learn about the impact that their student senators and student trustees are creating. Not only will you have the chance to interact with the senators, you can also learn about the various leadership opportunities in the DDSB and how you can get involved. We will also be showcasing the unique leadership journeys of all of our student leaders. We have a packed evening From meeting your student trustees, both incoming and outgoing, to having a student leaders panel where we will be answering all of your questions. We hope to see you there on Tuesday, May 25th at 5:30 p.m. Mark your calendars.
Promoting student voice.
DDSB and DCDSB Senate Games Night.
Getting to hear so many amazing ideas.
Knowing when to add your own ideas to the group or to let others contribute and have their time.
Senate allowed me to bring more innovative ideas to my student council.
By giving me a platform where I can present initiatives I am passionate about, this has allowed me to step out of my comfort zone and gain confidence as a leader. It's given me the opportunity to meet and work with some incredible students from all across the board.
It allowed students from across the board to share their experiences in the education system.
Student Senate has expanded my sense of community as it showcases that a lot of initiatives can be done more efficiently and quicker with the help of other students across DDSB.
Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Before starting off, I'd like to kick it off with our land acknowledgement, and I'll pass that off to Monica to start.
Thank you. The Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with territories upon which our school board and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms a part of the traditional treaty territories of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nations, the Mississaugas of Mississauga peoples of the treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island, and First Nations. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live.
Thank you. I'll pass it off to Habiba to say our human rights acknowledgement.
The Durham District School Board is committed to learning environments that are safe, welcoming, respectful, equitable, accessible, inclusive, and free from discrimination while placing human rights and equity at the center.
Thank you, Habiba. Welcome everyone to our open house hosted by the DDSB Student Senate. We hope that you're able to connect with all of our student leaders here and that we inspire you to become involved with student voice in the future. I'm Ananya and I will be your MC for this evening. Tonight, we will be sharing the work we do as student senators and student trustees, as well as letting you know of how to get involved with these opportunities. We're going to start off the evening with some opening remarks. Then you're going to get the opportunity to meet your incoming and outgoing student trustees. We'll move into a student leaders panel where we'll be asking all of your questions to our amazing student leaders. And finally, we'll close off the event with some closing remarks. I would like to thank all of our trustees supporting student leadership in our board. And with that, I would like to welcome Trustee Morton. Please give her a huge, warm virtual welcome.
Thank you. And good evening, everyone. I want to say thank you to our student trustees and our student senators for inviting trustees to join you this evening. I know that we have several trustees in attendance, and we are thrilled to be here. Thank you also to all students and parents who are joining us for this special event. I want to commend the student leaders for organizing this session. I know that all students and all parents who are in attendance will learn much about the roles that you play. I also want to applaud the work that you do in developing strong leadership skills. I love to see the level of collaboration and cooperation which is evident. It is so important that we learn to work well together, sharing our thoughts, developing new initiatives, and of course, putting our heads together to problem solve. This is an ideal opportunity to bring students from all areas of Durham As you said earlier, east to west to north, rural and urban. We bring them together to inform and support the work of the Student Senate. I want to say thank you, and I want to recognize Arpita, Aaliyah, and Logan for their outstanding work as student trustees during this most unusual year. This school year has been very challenging for everyone, but our student trustees approach those many challenges with determination and that positive attitude. We've all learned to communicate in different ways this year. We use different strategies, we engage in different ways. So I want to thank those 3 student trustees for their strong efforts during their tenure. I look forward to meeting our new student trustees, Kayla, Demario, and James. They are newly elected to the role. It is my hope that we can actually meet in person, because I would love to meet you and greet you at the Education Center. Thank you to all for joining us, and please enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Morton. We really appreciate your time and supporting us here today. Before we get started, I would like to bring your attention to the forms in the description box below. There's one Google form there where you can submit any questions you have for later in the evening for our student trustees, both incoming and outgoing, as well as our senator panelists. That form will be open all throughout the event, leading up to and during the panel, so feel free to ask multiple questions. We'll love to answer all the things you're curious about. Don't worry though, if we don't get to your question, we will be releasing an FAQ doc after the event for any questions we may have missed or any answers that you may have missed. With that, I'd like to introduce what Student Senate is and what we do. The DDSB Student Senate consists of student leaders from across the board, which collaborate on projects to better our educational environment. We are representatives from our respective schools, 2 to 3 representatives from each school, and we're divided up into 3 regions and 3 working groups. The North, East, and West regions work on implementing initiatives specific to their area and developing inter-school relationships, while the working groups focus on promoting equity, well-being, and student voice in the DDSB. Our student trustees facilitate Student Senate as well as representing student voice at the board office. Now, I'll pass it off to our current student trustees to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Logan Keeler, and I'm the current DDSB student trustee for the North. Some hobbies I enjoy are playing guitar and playing hockey. Last year as a student senator and this year as a student trustee, I have learned valuable skills that will help me in my future. The biggest skill I've learned is communication. Speaking, writing emails, writing reports were struggles for me when I first started, but I've gotten much better and I'm proud of the progress that I've made.
Thanks, Logan. Hi, I'm Arpita, the current student trustee for the East region. It has been an absolute pleasure to serve as your student trustee and be able to advocate for you through the Student Senate. I've been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to learn so many different skills as well as work with both Alia and Logan. And I wanted to thank all of you for the wonderful team I've had, along with looking forward to seeing all the initiatives that we implemented this year and the future ones that we have. We've been able to make a wonderful impact on the board, and I look forward to seeing how that shapes the board in the future.
Well, Arpita said it best. Hi, everyone. My name is Alia Jalil, and I've had the most enjoyable term as the West Region Student Trustee. Despite the endless hurdles this year has tossed in our direction, taking on this position alongside Logan and Arpita has been one of the most rewarding learning experiences I've ever had the opportunity to participate in. Seeing the passion of our senators and student body echoed in their efforts to revolutionize our education system has been mutually beneficial. Though the transition from our term to the next is bittersweet, I have a lot of faith in our newly elected trustees for the 2021-2022 school year. I'm happy to introduce to you James K., Demario Knowles, and Kayla Malcolm.
Hi, my name is James Kay, and I'm a grade 11 student at Brock High School. I was elected as the student trustee of North Durham for the 2021-2022 student school year, meaning I'll be representing the students of Brock High School, Port Perry High School, and Uxbridge Secondary School. Outside of school, I work in long-term care and enjoy swimming, which is one of the reasons as to why I got my lifeguard certification. 2 must-know things about me include my favorite television series is The Crown, and that I aspire to become a registered nurse.
Hi folks, my name is Demario Knowles and I'm a grade 11 student from St. Clair Secondary School. I was elected as the next student trustee for the east side of Durham, which means I'll be representing all of the schools in Oshawa and Whitby. I have too many things that I like to do outside of school and I couldn't fit them all on one slide, so I just put some of my favorites. I like to eat food, play basketball, write poetry, and I like to watch my favorite TV show, All American.
Hi everyone, my name is Kayla Malcolm and I'm a grade 11 student from Dumbarton High School, and I'm elected to be the next student trustee of the West Region, which means that I'll be representing all of the schools in Pickering and Ajax. Some things I like to do outside of school are play sports, work on my business, exercise, and listen to music. And something that I intend to do is go to business school, finish with an MBA, and once graduated, have my real estate license. Some things about me are that I like photography, drawing, and traveling.
Thank you all so much. It's amazing to see our voice represented by such passionate student leaders. Along with our student trustees, our student senators are a diverse group of leaders, each with a unique journey involving Senate and their experiences with leadership in Senate. To share their personal journeys and answer all of your questions about student leadership positions in the DDSB, up next, we have a panel with our student senators and your incoming and outgoing student trustees. Now, I'll pass it off to our panelists to introduce themselves.
Alrighty, thank you. So I could start us off. Hi everyone, just to introduce myself, but my name is Alia. I am currently the student trustee who is leading the Student Voice Working Group as well as the West Region.
Hi everyone, my name is Ishana Papatia and I am a grade 12 student at RS McLaughlin CVI, and this year I've been in Senate for 3 years, and this year I am part of the Equity Working Group.
Hi everyone, as I said before, my name is Demario. I'm a grade 11 student and I am a part of the Equity Working Group.
Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth. I go to Henry Street High School and I'm in grade 12. I've been on Senate for 2 really enjoyable years. Last year I participated in the Wellbeing Working Group, and this year I joined the Student Voice Working Group.
Thank you all for that.
My name is Rihanna Papatia and I am a grade 12 student at RS McLaughlin CVI, and this is my 3rd year as a student senator. I am part of the Oshawa Whitby Regional Group and the Equity Working Group.
Thank you all for that. I love to see all the questions coming in, so feel free to keep adding those questions in the Google form. We'd love to answer anything you might be curious about, and there are no bad questions. To start off, all of you here are student senators or have been in the past. Could you talk about your journey to finding out what Senate is and how you became involved? I'll pass it off to you, Alia, first.
For sure, thank you. So when I was in the 10th grade, I had run to become a student trustee, and I didn't actually get it that year, but after that, my teacher advisor had suggested that I look into student senate to kind of give me a little more experience in running for the next year. And so that's exactly what I did. I took on the position with one of my friends, becoming a senator, and I enjoyed the experience immensely. It was amazing seeing how much passion was spread all across DDSB, and kind of until then, to me, DDSB looked like Pickering and Ajax. But working with all these different people and seeing the extent of what each school is doing and how much potential comes from each one really inspired me and pushed me to want to become a student trustee and lead all of those different cities and regions as well.
So basically, I found out about Student Senate through my school's Student Council. And basically, I was looking for opportunities to get involved in my school. And then I came across the position to become a student senator. And basically, I read the description and I knew automatically that this is what I wanted to do. And what really interested me the most to become a student senator was having the opportunity to speak on behalf of students and to be the link between students and the DDSB.
So I found out about Senate because I was supposed to be a one-time replacement during my grade 10 year, but the person who I was replacing wasn't able to attend for the rest of the session, so I became a full-time replacement. And once I started attending Senate regularly, I got to meet so many like-minded individuals who are also passionate about advocating for students and the student voice. So because I saw Senate as a wonderful platform to advocate for the students, I decided to join for a second term, which is this year, and I decided to run for student trustee so I can continue my movement of advocating for the students.
For me, I honestly had never heard of Senate before. That's something we're working on now, is making it more widely known, which is great because honestly, it's such an amazing community to be a part of. My teacher asked me if I wanted to be the student senate representative for our school, and I said sure, because I like public speaking. Not that you need to be a great public speaker to be on Senate. You can really be within any range you want. We take anybody and everybody. But yeah, that's how I found out about it, and I've loved it ever since.
I found out about Student Senate through my older sister because she was actually a student senator when she was in high school, and she really enjoyed the experience being part of a group of amazing students, which really inspired me to join it as well. I also found it interesting how I'm able to become a part of this network of students where we're able to make a difference in students' lives.
Thank you all for that. It's amazing to hear how you each had unique journeys, but we all ended up working together. For our two trustees here, for our two student trustees here, I know this year we were never able to meet in person or get to talk in person, but how did you choose to run for student trustee? And could you briefly describe the process?
Yeah, for sure. So I got the taste of an in-person kind of election when I ran in grade 10 and then again in grade 11 in the first round of elections. And that was pretty awesome. We had the representatives come into our school, and that was a really fun environment. My second election was virtual, and that was also fun as well, you know, trying out everything for the first time, having 100 people in a Google Meet call, which I'd never seen before. And all that was super thrilling. And watching that happen again this year was awesome too, with like a little more experience. Everybody knew what was going on a little bit more. So that part was definitely fun, the actual election process. And what made me want to run for student trustee again was all that time spent working with Student Senate and seeing how each working group functions, seeing how different groups of people who had never met each other before could come together and come up with brilliant ideas. I knew I wanted to lead that. And so in creating my presentation to run, I kind of picked up on the little things, the little disconnects that I found, and I focused on those and tried to narrow down a couple initiatives in each of those working group areas that I thought I could effectively complete within my term. And that's kind of how I set myself up to run as a student trustee.
I'd say that my process was a little bit more unclear. I always loved helping people, and I thought that with the position of student trustee, I could always help people. But I used to be very shy, and I thought that I wasn't meant for the position. But one of the older student trustees for Oshawa Whitby, Sally Meseret, she kind of convinced me to run for it, and she kind of built up my confidence to run for that position. So I decided to run, but I got my resources a lot later than I should have gotten them. So it was a lot of last minute, you know, figuring out everything, finalizing the script. So I literally stayed up till 2:30 in the morning with my friend to make sure that everything was all finalized and ready. And it was very hectic, but the job was finished and I was fortunate enough to win. I had that privilege and I'm grateful for it. And I just really liked helping people. So that's why I decided to run for the position. I thought that this was a lovely platform that could allow me to help many students across Durham. So I decided to run.
Thank you for that. And we're really lucky to have both of you leading our amazing Senate, both this year and next year. For our 3 other senators here, although we never got to make those in-person memories together, we did get to meet virtually every month. What is one of your favorite highlights this year that we got to do virtually?
Definitely my favorite memory this year was being part of the equity working group. During these unprecedented times, we were still able to come together and create different initiatives to help promote equity in student lives. For example, making equity posters, which highlighted different terms that were misinterpreted by community members, and we were able to put the history, significance, and the definition on these posters. Also, we were able to support Osteoeco's Volume of Our Voice project, and we were able to create a lot of like online platforms where students were able to share their experiences with online learning and to find ways to resolve all these issues.
For me, I would say it was meeting with our groups regionally. Within Senate, we don't just meet with our working groups, we also meet within regions. So because I go to a Whitby high school, I got to meet with the representatives from all of the other Whitby and Oshawa high schools throughout this year. And it was a really great time just to be able to talk to other people, first of all, but just to talk to other passionate student leaders, sharing ideas, pumping each other up, giving each other advice. It was such a great community experience.
I would also have to agree with Elizabeth. My favorite memory was also the regional breakout groups. I really enjoyed this because we're from similar regions, so we experienced similar issues and stuff. So we were able to find initiatives that work well in some schools, initiatives that don't work well in other schools, and therefore we're able to find like a middle ground so that we can make students' lives successful.
Thank you all for sharing your experiences. I definitely agree. I have so many wonderful memories with all of you. Our next question is it a large time commitment to be on Senate? And is that time commitment mostly in monthly meetings, or is there a lot of work put in outside and behind the scenes? I'll pass this one off to Rihanna first.
In regards to the time commitment, the meetings take place once every month. So in some circumstances, if you're planning an event within the working groups or the regional breakout groups, there are like a few other meetings outside of those types of meetings, but mostly it is individual work. So that could be like communicating with your student council about other initiatives that are happening in student senate or vice versa.
Thank you for that. Elizabeth, do you want to share your experience as well?
Yeah, I think in my experience, Senate is what you want to make it. You can only participate during meetings, and that's totally fine as long as you're bringing information back to your student councils and being that sort of liaison between the board and your student council. Or you could take on a huge role. We have different roles for everybody within Senate. You don't just have to be a trustee to be in a leadership position. You can be a project coordinator. You can also co-chair a working group or lead your regional group. So if you want to do more work, if you want to have more experience that way, you can choose to do that, or you can just sit back and enjoy the ride. It's really whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with.
Thank you both for highlighting the structure and the flexibility that Senate brings. Our next question is, how has being a member of Student Senate empowered you to strive for the well-being of everyday student body? And are there any specific examples that you can give? I'll pass this one off to Shauna.
So basically, in my first 2 years of Senate, I was part of the Wellbeing Working Group, and I was able to learn more about what students were experiencing. And basically, this experience has helped me become a better person. And I was able to run for co-prime minister at for my student council. And through that, we were able to create a lot of initiatives that highlighted
different resources for mental health. We also created lots of activities such as like wellness bingo or different spirit weeks just to lighten up the mood, especially during these unprecedented times.
Thank you for sharing all the amazing work that you're doing. Our next question is, how did you first become involved with leadership before Senate? Since we all have unique journeys which are always changing, I'll pass this one off to Elizabeth to start us off.
I think for me, leadership came very naturally. So within the classroom, teachers would see that I displayed really strong leadership qualities, which were great, especially because at my school, our leadership council is not elected by students, it's elected by teachers, and it's typically made up of grade 11s and 12s. So just being able to display my leadership qualities within the classroom really gave a good impression to those teachers. At the same time, at our leadership camp, I was there again displaying leadership qualities, taking initiative for my team and things like that. So I was scouted for leadership council in grade 11, which was also my first year on Senate. And in elementary school, because I know that there are elementary school watchers here tonight, welcome. I was involved with Me to We. That was really the only leadership club that I had at my school. We didn't have a student council or anything like that. So I was just involved in any way possible because I just really loved being a leader.
Thank you for that. Kayla, could you please share your experience as well?
Hi everyone, I'm Kayla. So I started with leadership, kind of like Elizabeth, in elementary school.
I'm sorry, Kayla, I don't think we can hear you right now. I'll move on to the next question, but we can always return back to you if the technical difficulties sort out. Our next question is, what are some of the things you get to do as a student trustee? I'll pass this one off to Alia.
Awesome, thank you for the question. And so as student trustee, we do a number of things. One of our biggest things is leading Senate. We have the opportunity to work with different senators and start different initiatives, have important and difficult conversations with one another, figure out what's going on at different schools. And then we also have the opportunity to run different events and projects and coordinate different things. Again, they're mostly senator run, but we help out with the work behind the scenes and we try to reach different demographics. The elementary students, we try to reach out to all the different schools, the different areas, different interests. And we also participate in board meetings. The first and third Monday of every month, we attend these meetings. And at the third Monday of every month at the meetings, we also get to do a report, an update of what we have been doing as student trustees. So there's a whole arsenal of things we have the opportunity to do. And based on your personal interests and your own kind of personality, you can determine what specific things you lean more into as a student trustee.
Thank you for that. Logan, is there anything you'd like to add on?
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to add is, as a student trustee, you have such a big voice for the board. So the number one thing, to kind of just summarize what Alia just said, is the number one thing is to advocate for the students in the board. Always be advocating for the students, any problems they're facing. That's the number one job of the student trustee.
Thank you both so much. Our next question is about, what are the responsibilities do senators have between meetings? I'll pass this one off to Rihanna to start.
Thank you for that question. So some responsibilities include, so if you are planning a project or event, whether it be like making posters or video, that would be in between meetings and sometimes also in the meeting. It depends which one it is and how you're planning it. And also that would also mean communicating what you talked about in the meeting back to your student council. That's really important because then your school knows what's going on, and like any conflicts that are happening at your school, like any issues, then you can bring that to Senate and we can discuss a solution for that.
Thank you for that. Elizabeth, do you want to share your perspective?
Yeah, definitely what Rihanna was saying about just being that representative of your school. That's definitely the main in between job. That could be your only in between job if you want it to be. For me, I actually help Arpita, who is our student trustee for the East. And we work together to schedule our Instagram posts, make Instagram posts. So that's something that I'm constantly doing in between meetings. If I was part of a working group and putting on an event, I would be doing jobs for that too. And that's all voluntary. You're not obligated to really do anything. It's all like up to you, whatever you want to take on.
Thank you guys for that. Yeah, if you have not already, be sure to follow us on at DDSB Student Senate because Elizabeth makes some amazing posts and she promotes all the wonderful stuff we're doing. So definitely follow us on that. Our next question is about how the pandemic affects our normal processes that take place in Senate. Are they slower? Are they faster? I'll pass this one off to Demario.
Thank you, Ananya. I feel like, speaking from my experiences, everything in Senate has moved relatively at the same pace. We still continue to have our monthly meetings and we still continue to have our working group meetings and our regional breakouts. It's just that the method of execution has been different since Senate has been online this year. So instead of going to the school board once a month to have our meetings, we do everything virtually through Google Meet. But I feel like everything has been going at the same pace. I feel like nothing has gone faster, nothing has gone slower.
Thank you for that. Alia, I'll also pass this one off to you.
Yeah, for sure. Demario said it really well. The one additional thing is it actually does come down to the student trustees to decide what the structure of Senate will be. So Logan, Arpita, and myself really like the structure of last year with breaking out into three regional groups as well as our working groups. But our incoming trustees actually get to decide what they want the structure of Senate to be like. And accordingly, they can decide if they want to move faster or slower through the next year. But seeing from the past year that I was in Senate to this year, we moved at relatively the same pace, but it does come back down to the trustees and how they decide.
Thank you for that. And because of having you three amazing trustees, despite this pandemic, we've been able to do so many different initiatives and so many different projects. So kudos to your leadership. It really helped us keep on track. Our next question is there any way to improve on or address mental health for students? And if so, how? I'll pass this one off to Logan.
Yeah, so there are absolutely ways to do that. On the Senate, the best way, we have the Wellbeing Working Group. Like Alia just mentioned, this year's incoming student trustees could change that, but that's how it's worked this year and the previous years. So the Wellbeing Working Group this year, we've created awareness posts and provided resources on our social medias to make social media more welcoming. A majority of the students in the board are on social media, so we thought that was the best way to create awareness. But that's not like, if you have an amazing idea or maybe an idea you don't think is amazing and you want to just share it with people to brainstorm on it, you can absolutely bring it to the Senate and you can work on it. There's tons of ways that you are able to improve on students' well-being. So absolutely just come to the Senate and you can work on that.
Thank you for that. Our next question is, how have you increased a sense of community in Senate? I'll pass this one off to Elizabeth first.
Okay, so within Senate, it was really easy to create community this year because we're all isolated. So this is kind of like one of the only groups we're obligated to still go and be a part of now that everything's kind of shut down. So that itself, like Senate itself, is definitely a great community. Just being able to work with one another on different projects, brainstorming ideas with each other, sharing struggles and also like huge milestones that we were all achieving within our schools. That definitely creates community. We were able to lean on each other a lot this year, which was so incredible and so helpful. As someone on student council this year trying to run events during COVID, everything had to be changed. So definitely having those tips and tricks from other students in other schools was so helpful, it was so amazing. So I would say that for sure, just being able to connect with one another was amazing.
Thank you for that. Hess, do you want to share your opinion too?
Yeah, I think Elizabeth wrote some really great points there. I would also like to add that there's a lot of support that we show to one another in Senate, in that many of us can be going off for a student trustee, but we will share our support of one another on the Slack or in different chats that we have where we can talk with one another. And also when we experience different setbacks that we have in our respective student councils, we can always look at Student Senate and ask around if anybody has struggled with the same issues before and can help us solve them. So we kind of grow our own community and also our school's community, and we're able to reach out to a lot more students in Durham District School Board.
Thank you both so much for that. I definitely agree with you. Senate has an amazing community that we formed, and in no way does it feel like we're sitting kilometers apart from each other. I feel like I see you guys every month and we're in the same room. I'd love to see all the questions coming in, so don't be shy, keep adding them in. We'd love to get to all of your questions. Our next question is, can you become a student senator if you're not part of student council? Great question. I'll pass this one off to Ashana.
Basically, this is dependent on different schools. So for my school, Student Senate was a role part of Student Council. So you had to be part of Student Council, but I know from many different schools, some students are elected or appointed by teachers. So if you are interested in becoming a student senator, I recommend you asking more about what it entails and asking the teachers who are in charge of Student Senate and let them know that you are interested.
Thank you for that. And thank you for highlighting that each school does do it differently, since as we heard from all of our senators' journeys, we all had different ways of finding out about Senate and becoming involved in it. Your student council teachers are often going to be the teachers who are taking care of Student Senate. So definitely reach out to them. Our next question is, do trustees receive community hours for the part-time? Do student trustees receive community hours for the time that they put in? I'll pass this one off to Alia first.
Great, thank you for the question. And student trustees actually get paid for the role. It's kind of like the pay gets spread over the course of the year. It's $2,500. It doesn't feel like a job, I'll say that for sure. I really enjoy doing it. It feels like, volunteer work, a side thing, a happy place for me to come to, but you do receive a monthly payment for that. And then for senators, sorry to follow that up, for senators, you can get community hours for being a student senator. At the end of the year, they accumulate.
Thank you for that. Our next question is, what's the difference between being a student trustee and being a student senator? I'll pass this one off to you, Alia, again, since you were in both roles.
Sorry, could you please repeat the question?
Sure. What's the difference from being a student trustee and a student senator?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. So being in the Senate, being a senator, it's like you're on the front lines. You kind of get to focus on really one working group. You get to focus on your one region when you're in that position. But when you're a student trustee, you kind of overlook everything, and you don't also just focus on, attending the Senate meetings and doing your part. It's also kind of looking over everything, looking over the projects, working with the other trustees to see what's going on in their specific regions, what you can help out with on their specific initiatives. So it's just kind of like a little bit more of a commitment in the student trustee position, a little bit more work at the board level, like attending the meetings or whatnot, comparative to a senator where you mostly stick to the Senate meetings. But again, both roles do have a lot in common, and you get a lot of leadership and experience out of doing both.
Thank you for that. Definitely agree. Both roles are very unique. Our next question is, how can you all say that you've grown through Student Senate? Was there an event or experience that you can talk about that helped you grow? I'll pass this one off to Elizabeth first.
Okay. So last year when we were in person, I ran to be regional director for Whitby. which meant that when we broke it into our regional groups, all of the Whitby high schools would sit down in a little circle on the floor, and I would be the one leading the discussion. And honestly, that role just brought me so much joy. It was so much fun to be able to facilitate that conversation and really listen to everybody and ask questions, things like that. I would say just the communication piece there was really impactful. It really did help me to grow. There are different kinds of leaders. Not every leader looks like a superhero. Some leaders look a little bit more like sidekicks, and they're still great leaders. You know, some leaders are quieter, some are more outspoken. And so just being able to see the diversity, both in personality, communication style, and also just our backgrounds. Where I live, it's not very diverse, but that's not, you know, something we can say about our entire board. So getting to meet students just from different cultural backgrounds, religious backgrounds, and being able to communicate with them all was super great.
Thank you for that. Hubeb, I'll also pass this one off to you.
Yeah, of course. So actually, first of all, Student Senate is a place where you kind of meet all these inspired people, all these people who you can, you know, that they're gonna do something good. They do have a lot of good and great ideas. So just meeting them and kind of hearing those ideas from them, it helps you a lot. So in my case, I was like always listening and always kind of like hearing those ideas. I do remember one time when one of our student Senate meeting, one of the senators kind of talked about how do they have the wellness corner or a kind of a website for their for students, so they can kind of like so this website can help them with mental health. So I do remember, and I just went to my school and kind of like talked to that in my student council, and we ended up kind of like having a wellness corner. So having all those inspired people, those people who you can kind of look into, who you can get an idea, or who you can just kind of like talk to. It helped me to run this year for to be a co-chair for the student vice committee. Yeah, so it helped me in it kind of like give you that confidence in the life, and it builds those relationship between a lifelong relationship between senators. So it is a great place to start and to be.
Thank you so much for that. Our next question is, what's the most impactful thing that you think Student Senate has accomplished during your term? I'll pass this one off to Alia.
Thank you. And I tried kind of like pinpointing it and figuring out like what specific event I would say made the biggest difference, but I really can't do that. So instead, one thing that I think was most impactful was the spread of awareness. And again, when I came into elementary school and even in grade 9, I was actually in grade 9 offered the position as senator, but I didn't know what it was, so I turned it away, which is a big mistake. But it was just that I just quite frankly did not know what it was. And so throughout the course of this year, through our social media, and shout out to our social media coordinator, Elizabeth, for doing so amazing all year, and all our other senators as well, who keep putting out amazing posts and information. But that social media awareness, these videos we're putting together, even the one at the start of this presentation, I feel like compiling these things and spreading them out, showing them kind of to our board what senators do, who they are, I think that is so important and one of the most impactful things that we've really put into action this year. And I know we'll only continue to go in an upward spiral in the years to come.
Thank you for that. Yeah, seeing all the amazing stuff for outputting this year is so amazing. Our next question is, as a grade 8 going into grade 9, what would be their first step about getting involved in Senate and student leadership? I'll pass this one off to Elizabeth first.
I would say be brave. Take those 10 seconds of courage and sign up for a club, sign up for a team. You know, next year things are said to look different. So whatever's open, whatever's available, jump right in. At some schools, there are positions for grade 9 available in student council. There are leadership positions for grade 9s available in other clubs and teams. In some schools, there's not that many. So it really just depends on where you're going. But I would say regardless of where you end up, make sure that your student counselors and the teachers who are running student council know your name. Make sure they know your face. Make sure that they know who you are, what you're about, what you can do. And so if that means going to all of the events that they put on during the year, do that. If that means asking them if they need extra help, do that. Sign up, just get involved in any way you can and make that good first impression.
Thank you for that. That's amazing advice. Habiba, could you also take this one on?
Yeah, just to reiterate what Elizabeth said, getting involved with different extracurriculars at your school and finding the different passions that you have when you're entering high school, it will help you become that leader, as well as trying to volunteer with your student council, whether there's a position for your for grade 9s or not. Being involved with your student council will allow you to learn the different processes and allow you to like generate your ideas and allow them to be heard, so that when you're in older grades that you can get that head start about becoming involved within student voice and then potentially student senate, and always knowing where to voice your concerns and voice your ideas, and being involved in student council and in student leadership clubs will really help you with that.
Thank you. Again, some more amazing advice. Alia, could you take this one on too?
Yeah, the one thing I really want to add, amazing points made by both of our speakers, but one last thing I really do want to add is the fear of failure, the fear of rejection is so intense. It is human nature. We are all conditioned to be so afraid to, take that first step, make a mistake. And I was literally preaching this in my student council meeting earlier, but you have to step out there. You've got to take that first step. And it is scary, even if that's in your classes, even if it starts with just raising your hand when you're not sure you have the right answer. Do not let the fear of failure or the fear of rejection stop you from getting all these opportunities that you're closing your eyes to by doing that. So that's just a big thing. And it's advice for myself too. It's advice that we all need to hear sometimes, but do not let the fear of failure or fear of rejection ever stop you, because the worst thing that could happen is you miss out and you learn from it. Everything is a learning experience if you choose to take it as one.
Thank you for that. When's your TED Talk, by the way? Amazing advice, all three of you. Our next question is, when running for student trustee during your elections, what personal advice would you provide any potential candidate to ensure that they represent the voice of student bodies and individuals that they represent? I'll pass this off to Alia first.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out for a second. Could you please repeat that?
Yeah, of course. What advice would you give someone running in student trustee elections about how to properly communicate that they're there for the student body and they're representing the student body?
That is such a good question. Thank you. And I think the biggest thing when you're in that position running for, representing so many people, it's difficult to be able to attest to the needs of every single person. And so the biggest thing I say is follow what you're passionate about. Every single initiative you do will not be able to account for 70,000 people, but start with what you love, what's important to you. And that is 100% sure important to someone else too. And once you're in that position and when you're running and you've got this initiative, this idea, once you start working with people and talking to people, there will be ways for you to find other people who connect with you on this, who also have the same interests, who can help you find ways to make it bigger, to appeal to more people. But as a starting point, don't worry about trying to get every single person touched by your ideas and thoughts. Start by doing something that's passionate for yourself, and then other people will connect with that, or you'll find ways to connect with other people. But it all starts with yourself and not trying to, please every single person right away. Just work on what you can do and what you think you're actually capable of completing in your term, and use that as a basis of running for your election.
Thank you so much. Logan, could you also provide your opinion?
Yeah, she said pretty much what I was going to say. The only thing I'd add is there are question periods during the election, and maybe just take to represent individuals, keep that in the back of your mind, that the role of student trustee, you want to advocate for all the students in the board, and think about what you're passionate about when you're answering the questions as well.
Thank you for that. Another question about student trustees. How do student trustees have an impact on what happens during board meetings? I'll pass this one off to Logan.
So we don't have we can have an impact on what happens at board meetings. They have like a set agenda of what occurs. We are able to speak on any issues that come up at a board meeting. We also aren't able to make a motion, but we are able to talk to trustees and they can move a motion for us, which is great. Yeah, so that's what we can do at board meetings.
Thank you so much. Our next question is, how did COVID-19 impact Student Senate? I'll pass this one off to Rihanna.
That's a great question. So COVID-19 has impacted the Student Senate because we haven't been able to meet in person. It was all virtual, which was kind of sad because I really wanted to see everyone. But we were still it didn't stop us from promoting student voice, equity, and well-being, because again, with our social media and everything, we were still able to represent everyone from the board and just promote everything properly.
Thank you for that. Our next question is, what is some advice you have for someone looking to become more involved with leadership opportunities? I'll pass this one off to Elizabeth.
Yeah, for sure. I would just say be bold. Be bold and be brave. You know, that 10 seconds of courage rule really will get you a lot of places. If you let it, just, taking those 10 seconds of courage, just to get in there, just to jump in. And then once you're in there, do everything you do with a kind heart. Get some rest, be kind to all those around you. And I would say you'll do great.
Thank you for that. Everyone here is ready to have their own TED Talks. I'm very excited to see all of your TED Talks, by the way. Our next question is, what are some extracurricular activities that you were involved with that helped you develop the skills you needed to be on Senate? I'll pass this one off to Rihanna.
That's also a great question. So some extracurricular activities that have helped me were stuff that involved leadership and teamwork, because those are some really main skills that you should have. So teamwork, like joining sports teams, or even student council as well. I joined student council when I was in grade 10, and it allowed me to take on some leadership roles and opportunities, and it helped me lead the student body, because you represent the school. And also that also has inspired me to run for prime minister, co-prime minister with my sister, and we got the position in grade 12, so it was it helps me a lot.
Thank you for that. It's so inspirational to see how Senate has helped so many of us grow in our leadership and how we continue to grow as leaders. So congratulations to both you and Ishana. Super proud. Our next question is, describe your daily life as a student leader or a student senator. I'll pass this one off to Elizabeth.
Okay, so my daily life looks a little bit different because I'm the president of my student council. So as a student leader within my school, I'm the one heading up initiatives, making sure those are organized. So making sure that other council members on my team have been doing their jobs, that they have all their stuff in, then distributing that stuff. So talking to teachers, talking to the principals, making sure that information gets out. So I'm sending emails every day. That's just part of my job. And communicating with my students every day. As a senator, any post that needs to go on our Student Senate Instagram, we figure out who needs to make it, if it needs to be me, if it can be someone from a working group, figuring out when those posts are going up. That's not something that I need to do every single day, but I would say, every other week, every week, just really depends on how busy things are getting. But I really want to express that this is really as much as you want. So I do this stuff every day because I want to, because it genuinely brings me joy, but it doesn't have to be a daily task. If that's not something you can afford, if that's not something you're into, it's really whatever you want to make it.
Thank you for that. And thank you for putting the specifics to a position name, since we often hear, oh, I'm student council president, I'm this, but we don't really know what that entails. So thank you for sharing your personal experiences and what you get to do. Our next question is, how do you balance schoolwork with leadership, with all your leadership and extracurricular activities on top of Senate? I'll pass this one off to Shauna first.
Basically, I'm involved in a lot of initiatives at school. So the way that
I balance everything is usually I set reminders on my phone, or I have an agenda where I write down all my meetings or anything that I have to finish for school, or like make a poster for a student council. And I basically just set this all on my phone because it's something that I look at basically every day, and I can get notifications. So that really helped me. Also telling my family members, oh, make sure you remind me that I have this. So that really helped as well. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing some of those strategies. Rehes, did you want to share what worked for you?
Yeah, so aside from doing extracurriculars and also schoolwork, I do also work for myself just to earn a bit of some money to have and to spend on stuff. And what I found is that you need to be able to say when you can't and can't do anything. You need to be able to give up on doing certain activities because you know that you just don't have the time to do it. So it's a lot of learning how to not expect to do everything and not to become your own Superman. You need to kind of give up some of that control and some of that power and ask other people, such as your friends or your siblings and family, to help you out and try and see if they can do whatever tasks that you needed to do. And that can really help you out.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I definitely agree. Setting those boundaries was something I had to learn myself. And I know a lot of us here are very strong go-getters who want to do everything we can, but sometimes we do need to take a step back. We are human. Our next question is, how have teachers and admin at your school impacted you as a student leader? I'll pass this one off to Rehes.
So what I found is that admin and teachers have seen so many students walk through the halls, even if they're just a new teacher who's just graduated out of teachers college, they still have seen a lot of students over their time. And they can tell you what they've seen work and what they've seen not work. And they can tell you what has had issues with being run. And that can help you a lot in making the decisions for what events you want to run and how you want to go about your activities and stuff like that. And aside from that, teachers are extremely supportive and they're always willing to help you out no matter what. And it can be really supportive to students that are struggling to get by with their lessons or with their extracurriculars. And it's just the best thing ever.
Thank you for that. I 100% agree. Our next question is, why did you want to get involved in your community? I'll pass this one off to Alia.
Thank you for the question. And since I was young, like it was kind of something that was like in my family, my dad had always been like, help others, support others. And it was just little things like that, little messages like that, that kind of became ingrained in me. And when I got older and like when I was in grade 3, it was like, oh, you had to be in grade 4 to be able to start joining this clubs or whatever. And I was like, I found myself waiting on those opportunities to be able to get involved in little things. And that's how it started. And then it was just a big kind of upward spiral from there. Once I started getting involved and that passion for helping others, for pushing for better for others, I kept on wanting that and seeking that in different ways. And that just kind of transferred as I got older.
Thank you so much. And we, again, are super grateful that you are involved in student leadership. Really helps make Senate and the DDSB a better place. The next question is, what skills are required to be a student leader? Elizabeth, I'll pass this one off to you.
I'm going to say communication is a huge one. It's also something that you're going to continuously be learning about. So you don't have to be perfect at it if you want to try or if you want to start. Just being able to listen to those around you and really listen to them, trying to understand where they're coming from, what they're saying, being able to take into account everyone on your team's different abilities, what they're able to do and what they could learn to do. And sort of delegating that way. Delegation is another one that's super important. You really, really, really don't want to have everything on your plate plus school. That's just, it's too much. It's a recipe for disaster. Lean on your people, trust your people, get to know your people, make them your friends, These things really, really help if you want to be a good student leader, and understanding also that your team is really only as good as you are, and you are really only as good as your team. If you leave this position for whatever reason, your team should be able to continue on going without you there. They should feel inspired and empowered to continue to do their roles well. And that's something that can come from you. So just keep those things in mind.
Thank you for sharing that. Our next question is, has there been any specific drawbacks that made it difficult to have a thorough representation of the student body? And if yes, can you please provide some specific occurrences that this happened and how you overcame that? I'll pass this off to Alia.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good question. And one thing I want to draw back to is that idea that you can't perfectly represent every single person. We do our best, we try our best. We have such a diverse group that works together and comes up with these great initiatives and ideas. And the biggest part, and so that's like one thing I've found as well, is that when we're having issues in specific communities and even on a worldwide scale kind of thing, and we want to face those issues, when we want to come up with ways to talk about those issues, the biggest thing is just accepting that diversity and starting and trying. We don't know everything about every situation. Do your research, learn about things. And that's what I found to be the most effective. And when it comes to at the DDSB level or at a school level, or even on a personal level, when things are happening and you don't know how to deal with them, or someone comes to you with a specific concern and you don't know how to address it, you learn, you look for ways to kind of take that on. There's no guidebook to being a student trustee, a student senator, a student leader, or even being a student. There's no guidebooks. You kind of learn as you go. And that's the reason you've got all these people around you to help you learn as you go. So you're not in it alone. And especially, I feel like sometimes we're in these high pressure situations, especially as leaders, where you feel like you need to know all the answers. You feel like you need to be able to solve every problem. But that's when you got to remember, you have a team to depend on. You've got, people around you who care about you. You can do your research. You can outsource your knowledge, and that's the most helpful way to kind of take on those difficulties that come on, in my humble opinion.
Thank you for that. Our next question is, can you please provide an ideal explanation of the potential process for running to be a student senator and a student trustee? So I'm assuming this person means if COVID did not exist or will not exist in the future, fingers crossed. I'll pass this one off to Logan.
So I'll answer the student senator one first. You should start by talking to your teacher advisor. If you don't know who that is, you can ask your principal and they will probably know. And then you can talk to the teacher advisor to run for student senator. At my school, you talk to the teacher advisor, and then depending how many people want to run, you might have to run an election at your school. If there aren't that many people interested, if there's enough room for everybody interested, then you'll just get to go. So that's where you would start for student senator. For student trustee, it's sort of the same thing. I would recommend being a student senator first. I learned a lot being a student senator that I'm glad I knew before I became a student trustee. So I would recommend being a student senator first, and then you'll see the process of becoming a student trustee. It's very similar. You talk to your teacher advisor, and then they'll get you set up with starting to run for student trustee.
Thank you for that. Demario, did you also want to share about how you got involved in your process for running for Senate and trustee?
For sure. So to my knowledge, the process of becoming student senator for each school is different, but I know for St. Clair, typically speaking, the process is you get appointed by 3 teachers that are in charge of our student parliament. And once you are appointed, and usually that process happens in September or October of that school year, you get to become a student senator and you get to attend student senate full time. And to become a student trustee, I know that the process for the North is a little bit different than East and West, so I can't speak for the North. But what I do know for East and West is that there are 2 stages for the elections. And the first stage consists of the regional election. So the Whitby participants compete against each other, Oshawa competes against each other, the Ajax participants compete against each other, and the Pickering participants compete against each other. And then in the second stage, the winner of Whitby competes against the winner of Oshawa, and the winner of Ajax competes against the winner of Pickering. And then once that second stage of elections happens, whoever wins those rounds becomes the student trustee for the East and West regions.
Thank you for that. Our next question is directed at all of our elementary viewers watching. We love the fact that you're so interested in student leadership already. How can you get involved with your community in elementary school showing student voice? I'll pass this one off to Rihanna.
That's actually an amazing question because when I was in elementary school, I wanted to be involved in everything because I thought like student voice is like a really important thing, and it is obviously a very important thing. So like talking to your teachers, you can, if you're passionate about something in elementary school, like I don't know, just like something like you have like a teacher support you with and you're passionate about it, you can probably start your own club as well. So like talking to your teachers, making sure your name is known, and just learning about more initiatives that are happening at your school, whether it be like through your teachers or like classrooms, or it could be even like through social media as well, or like through your school website. Like there's many different leadership opportunities that are available for elementary students.
Thank you for that. Our next question is, in order to join Student Senate, do we have to consult with our school or teacher first? Is there a way we can join on our own? I'll pass this one off to Logan.
Yeah, so I just said the answer, but yeah, so you should consult with the teacher first, or that's the way you would do it. Yeah, you would talk to your teacher first.
Thank you for that. Our next question is, what do student councils look post-pandemic, since a lot of us here are involved in student councils? Or Ehes, would you share your experience?
Yeah, so from my experience in Port Perry High School, we've been talking about this in the recent few weeks. What we are going to be doing is we're going to be completely rebranding our student council and trying to make it in a way that more students will want to participate in it. Over the past few years at Port Perry High School, at least, we've seen a huge decline in student participation. So what we're going to be working on is ways to revision student councils so that they are more geared towards the students of today and not the students that we saw back in the 80s, which are not us. And we're more type B and they were more type A. It's a whole different demographic that we just need to learn how to get accustomed to.
Thank you for that. Our next question is about student trustee elections. Who elects the student trustees? I'll pass this one off to Logan.
So each person running for student trustee will bring 10 delegates with them, 10 voters from their school to come and support them. So that would be who is electing the student trustee. Your goal is to try and convince other people's delegates to vote for you. And that's how the process works. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Our next question is, what's the difference between student council and student senate? And I'll also throw in there, what's the difference once again between student senate, being a student senator, and being a student trustee? I'll pass this one off to Kayla first.
Thank you for that question. So the difference between student senate and student trustee is student senate is made up of all the senators that are representatives of the school, including the 3 trustees that represent the 3 different regions. So the senate itself is with all the high school representatives, and the student trustees are only the 3 regional representatives. And sorry, what was the first question that you had mentioned?
The first part of it, what's the difference between student senate and student council?
So student council is actually something that each school has separately. So every student council is ran by that school's students. So for example, at Dumbarton, we have a student activity council, and we have president and an executive made up of students from our council. But yes, different high schools have different activity councils, and student senate is made up of all the students within Durham. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you for that, Kayla. Elizabeth, do you want to talk a little bit more about the difference between senate and your council, since each school's council structures are very different?
Yeah, for sure. So at Henry Street specifically, we have a leadership council and an athletic council. So our athletic council does sporty things. They help to run the tournaments we might have for different teams at our school. They run intramurals, Relay for Life, all of those physical activity sort of centered things. And the leadership council does pretty much everything else. your pink shirt day, different spirit activities within the school. That's what we do. And then Student Senate, I want you to think of it more like a board level. So we have 2 to 3 representatives from every single high school in Durham region that come together once a month to talk to each other and hang out pretty much. So there's quite a few of us. I believe there are over 40. And then I want you to think of the trustees kind of like the ringleaders of the circus, because it does get a bit nuts. There's so many people to keep track of. They are our main leaders. So because I go to a Whitby high school, that means I'm in the East. And if I have an issue, I go to Arpita because she represents me. So there is like a hierarchy there, if you can kind of imagine that in your brain that way.
Thank you both so much for that. Our next question is it too late for me to try out for the position of student trustee? I'll pass this one off to Demario first.
So for 2021-2022 student trustee, elections have already happened and people have already been elected. But I do know for the 2022-2023 student trustees, those elections should happen sometime next year at the beginning, near the beginning of what would normally be the second semester, so around the March, April area. So I suggest reaching out to whoever is in charge of connecting with students, whichever teacher is in charge of connecting with Student Senate. I suggest reaching out to them to compete for next year's elections. But for the elections for the upcoming school year, those have already happened.
Thank you for that. Logan, is there anything you'd like to add on?
No, I think Demario answered it well.
Thank you both for that. Our next question is being a student leader fulfilling? And if so, how? Ishana, I'll pass this off to you.
Being a student leader is definitely very fulfilling because as you participate in all these different clubs and initiatives like Student Senate, you really get to see the difference that you are putting out to students, and you get to see that in students and how they are affected. And definitely if you make a positive impact, you see the difference and you definitely get that feedback from the students. And that's very fulfilling because you are making a difference in their lives for the better. So yeah, definitely that.
Thank you for that. I could not agree more. And I'm sure all of us on this call could definitely relate to that. The next question is, for our student trustees, what do student trustees do at standing committee meetings? I'll pass this off to Logan first.
So at standing committee meetings, we can talk on any points that are brought up, but the biggest thing we do is we bring a report of what we've done that month or in the past month, and anything else that we'd like to bring up to the board.
Thank you for that. Alia, Arpita, is there anything else you guys would like to add on?
You got it down pretty well. We also can take questions on the board report if any of the trustees have anything to inquire about.
Thank you so much for that. We do only have 2 minutes left. So thank you for all the questions we have. This is going to be our last question. What has been the biggest obstacle you faced when you became a student leader? I'll pass this one off to Rehis.
The biggest obstacle has definitely been self-doubt and your own mental capabilities. We can often be our biggest critics, and that can really lead to some of our biggest hardships. It can be due to the fact that like we put all our time and energy into an event that we really, really want to plan, but nobody really wants to do it and nobody will show up to do that event. And then I also oftentimes faced times where I couldn't get to certain places due to where I live. And that can really hinder when you have a lot of people who rely on you, especially with things like Tech Crew, which I'm a part of. When one of us is gone, it can really stop the whole process because we have one person who's in charge of one thing and then another person who's in charge of another. And when you're missing a certain piece of that puzzle, it all really comes apart. So yeah, you do face some obstacles when you're coming up as a student leader, but it's the endurance and the willingness to stick with it and overcome anything that keeps you in the game and allows you to do a lot more than you ever thought possible.
Thank you for that. And I think those are some amazing words to leave off with for our panel. If we did miss your question, or if you do have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the form. It'll be open for a little bit longer, and we will try our best to include all of them in the FAQ doc if there's any unanswered questions. At the end, we'll also be sharing all our Instagram handles and emails, which you can reach out to us with questions as well. So don't worry, we're keeping our doors open to you. On behalf of Student Senate, I hope this evening was informative, inspiring, empowering for all of you. To help us close off this evening, I would like to welcome Trustee Lundquist. Please give her a warm virtual welcome.
Sorry, I was having trouble getting the mute button off. So I didn't prepare remarks, but I wanted to say just a couple of things. I just wanted to listen to what was important to student leaders, and I wanted to say what I heard was about your commitment to advocacy, to leadership, and to community. And on behalf of all of the trustees, I would thank everyone here who has worked really hard to build better schools and clearly a better system. Your work is seen and it is appreciated, but I think more importantly, it actually does make a difference. I most appreciate hearing tonight that you recognize that diversity in leadership matters, that there are all kinds of leaders who can contribute and in a meaningful way. I'm going to ask that you please continue to reach out to different communities in your schools to ensure student voice is reflective of the entire student body as best you can, because equity is absolutely about diverse cultures, but it is also about diverse abilities and genders and all of these intersectional realities. So my commitment to you as a trustee and not a student trustee, and I'm confident really, truly that other trustees would offer the same exact thing, is that we are here to listen and to support, but we're also open to learning what we don't know. And I'm pretty confident that you already know things that are outside of my experience, and I'm happy to learn from you. What I can tell you that I know with certainty is this: students can affect change. They can, and they have influenced policy at the board, both this year and in years previously. So I think I would leave you with the following. You will always get further by persuasively asking people for what you want or what you need, rather than remaining silent. I really do look forward to hearing all of your voices, and I encourage all of you to reach out to each other, but also to us, to the trustees, students, and those not, because we can move those issues forwards. I think Logan referenced that we can bring motions, and we will do so on your behalf if you can convince us to support them. And I have yet to meet a student trustee who has not been convincing, so I'm pretty confident that we have that capacity. So thank you for all of the work that you all put into this evening, and for all of the work you did all year, but also all of the work you're going to continue to do. This is a room full of extraordinary leaders, and I know some are watching, just waiting to step into that role as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much for the support. We really appreciate your time and effort. I would also just once again thank you, Trustee Morton and Trustee Lundquist, for taking the time out and come to be with us today and to speak with everyone. I would also like to thank our incoming student trustees and our outgoing student trustees, as well as our senators, all the ones you did meet on the call here today, as well as all the ones behind the scenes who made this event possible. Thank you all so much. This really wouldn't have been possible without your support. Thank you to Ms. Walton, Ms. Muller-Law, and Mr. Rennie for guiding us and making this open house possible. We do have our email and our Instagram up on the slide. So take a screenshot, take a pic, write that down. We'd love to hear from you and what you have to say. Also, in the description box below, there is a Google form, a link to a Google form for feedback. We'd love if you could just take a quick 2 minutes to fill that out. It'll really help us to shape future events to what you guys really want to see. Thank you all for coming, and I'd love to see some of you guys who are here today taking up the positions of student senators, student trustees in the future. Have a great evening, everyone.